So what I'm going to do now is to switch and talk a little bit about the installation process. I think most of you have gone through that now, but I'm not sure all of you have, but I think it's worth probably repeating. So I'm going to actually do this off my iPhone. And what you see displayed is my iPhone. And we'll do this just for this display, because for this session, but it'll also demonstrate how it looks on an iPhone. So you should have gotten an email that looks something like this as far as installing the latest version. So after you registered for test flight, we provisioned for your device, which is a requirement of Apple, and then we posted that update to test flight, and then you got a notification like this. And that notification includes an install button on the middle right-hand side. And from your perspective, once you get one of these notifications for updates in the future, all you would have to do is click on the install. And I'm actually going to do that on my device right now. And the primary reason is that even if you've already done this, my point here is that as we do updates, it will be exactly the same process. So you'll get an email notification like this. You'll click on the install, which is what I just did. That install button takes you directly to a testflightapp.com website that has this particular version. And again, it gives you some release notes and other information, but all you have to do is hit the install, which I'm going to do now. And it asks you whether or not you want to install, and I say yes. And it's actually installing that app right now. And this is exactly the same process that you would do for doing an update. So we'll give it just a 30 seconds here to install. And the other thing that I'm going to demonstrate here is the first time registration, just so that you're familiar with it if you haven't already gone through it, because I don't think everybody has. So you can see I have several audit versions on my device here. So the one on the lower right-hand side is the most current one, the one I just installed. And this is a little tricky because I have to do a web-based connection. All right. So miAudit ECNC is on the lower right-hand side, and we'll click on it. And this is the very first time installation. And what you do is you put in your first and last name and your email address. If you've already been licensed before, and remember, this licensing only happens the very first time, or if you have to change device. So I'm going to do a shortcut here, and I'm going to just put in my initials and put in my email address, which you do have to do because it has to know it exactly. That's what the licensing is based on. And I hope I got it right. And I'm going to put in my password. Oops. And in this case, there are sample audits that are set up, and those sample audits are useful for training. You can pull them up at any time, including at the very first or any time thereafter. I'm not going to pull them up at this time. I'm going to come back and show you how you can pull them up at any time. So I'm going to say no here. So I am partway through the licensing process. And in the upper left hand, there's a gear, and in the upper right hand, there are 3 bars. Those are both menus that are drop down. So if I click on the gear, you see that there's a drop down list, and if I click on the triple bar, there's a drop down list. So we call the triple bar on the upper right hand the menu, and on the left hand we call that the setup. So I'm going to register my device, and in this case I click on registration, and what you see here is a form that is only partially filled out because I only filled out part of it. If you were registering for the first time ever, you would fill out the whole form, but I'm going to shortcut it because I already have a registration that's in place, and it is based on my email address. So I'm going to click in the middle where it says check for existing license by email, and exactly as it says, it checks against your email address to make sure that you have a match. So there was a license that was found because I was already previously licensed, and I'm going to read that, and it goes through, checks everything, and it comes back with success. And now you'll see that everything is actually filled out because that was my previous license setup. So one of the things that we did for all of you was to pre-license you, and we filled out the company names and address and city and state and mobile phones and work phone and so on. If those are not correct, you can correct those, and after you have edited those and correct them, you can come up here to the right to the menu and click on Update App License, and that will update it and save it. So it'll ask you whether or not you want to update, yes, and it's just going to go through and update your app license. The main reason that's important is that down the road that some of that information is used for some of the reporting. So that's it for registration and licensing, pretty quick and easy. And you should only have to go through that once at the beginning. I had talked about the fact that there are sample audits, so I went up to the setup, and under database, there's a submenu. I apologize, sometimes it doesn't update on the screen as quickly as it does on my device. Get back on here. All right, so in order to download the sample audits at any time, you can go into database, and one of the options there is import sample audits. And as I said, you can do that at any time. It's very useful for training in particular because you can play with them, change them all you want, edit them, and in the end just delete them and reload them if you want to. So there are two audits here, the Oak Pasture Lane, which has one HVAC system, and Reeves Court, which has two HVAC systems. And those are specific. We'll go through that on the iPad and show you why that's important to understand the difference there. So that's as far as I'm going to go with the iPhone, except to show you that summary view that we talked about. So as I scroll, the scrolling is uneven on your screen because I'm connected up wirelessly between the iPhone and the Apple computer that I'm using. But all the data is available there, and we'll switch over to the iPad, which is a format that most of you will be using. So I'll close out this. And switch over to the iPad. So now I'm on the iPad instead of the iPhone. Very similar setup. You see here in the lower right-hand corner again, because I've organized them the same way, is the miAudit ECMC icon. So I'm going to click on it. And I've been logged out long enough that on the iPad that it's going to time out and then ask me for my password. That happens automatically so that you don't have other people that might just pick up the device able to get into the mobile app. So I'm going to enter my password, and everybody's password can be different. You can set it to be whatever you want to. So now I'm on my iPad. I'm in the audit page, and in this case you'll see that there are 17 audits that are set up here. Hold on. So those 17 audits are actually, part of those audits are ones that were done by Brian, which are just good examples of particular issues that I wanted to display. But toward the bottom, there's also the two sample ones that I have in Oak Pasture Lane and Reeves Court, and we'll talk about those. So I'm going to go to the Oak Pasture Lane sample audit. I clicked on that particular audit, and now I'm in the summary page. The summary page, as I indicated before, has a quick nav on the left-hand side and a summary view on the right-hand side. But they are independently scrollable. I can scroll the left one up and down. I can also scroll the right one up and down. So you can navigate to any data entry section by either clicking on the left-hand side for a particular section like attic insulation, or I can go on the right-hand side and scroll down to attic insulation and click on that as well. So I'll click on the left-hand side, attic insulation. You see it goes blue, and then the data entry form shows up on the right-hand side. And we won't talk too much about specific data. I'm really going to be talking more about kind of general workflow more than specific data elements at this point. So I went to the attic section using the left-hand side, and I can get back to where I was by the upper left-hand arrow. There's an arrow that's a back arrow, and that always takes me backwards. On the upper right-hand side, there's a menu, and every data section has some menu. In this case, the menu has just two items, images and clear the form. We'll come back to the images part of it. So I'm going to go in the upper left-hand side and click on the arrow. The arrow takes me back to where I was. And the section that I was in is always shown at the very top. So in this case, attic insulation is shown at the top. I can also click on anywhere on that attic insulation section on the upper right-hand side where it says attic insulation, attic cavity, access type, access door condition, comment, anywhere in there. And when I click on it, it turns blue, and then it takes me to that data entry section. Again, that's common across the board. Upper left-hand side, I'm going to click to go back. Not sure what this pop-up is doing, but I'm ignoring it for now. So the right-hand side, which is the summary view, sorry, I'm getting some kind of pop-up here. The right-hand side, you'll see here that in heating system, cooling system, ducts, hot water, there's actually a black header, and then there's a beige header in all of those sections. And what this is telling you is that the black header is the heating system or cooling system, ducts, hot water, and so on. And the beige header is the header of the instance of that heating system. And you can have multiple instances of it. So you could have multiple heating systems or multiple cooling systems. So if you have a heating system or cooling system that serves the first floor and a separate one that serves the second floor, or the main house and the addition, you can define multiple heating or cooling or ducts or hot water systems. So the amount of flexibility is pretty large there, where you can put in as much detail as you need or as little as you need depending on the situation. In this particular case, there is a single heating, single cooling, ductwork, and so on. So I'm going to go upper left hand to the home icon to take me back home, which is the audits page. So I hit the home icon, I came back to the audits page,